Like to call to order the Personnel and Administration Committee for Thursday, August 17th, 2023. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cone.
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Here.
Alderman Aldridge.
Present.
President Green.
Present.
We have 4 present. You have a quorum.
A quorum being present, I would like to entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes from Wednesday, July 19th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from Wednesday, July 19th, 2023. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderman Aldridge.
Aye.
President Green.
Aye.
We have 4 aye votes.
By your vote, you sustain the motion to approve the minutes from Wednesday, July 19th, 2023. Right, today we have a number of committee discussions. For item number 1, I wanted to request from the committee that we repost the executive secretary and receptionist positions. The person, unfortunately, that we offered the receptionist position to declined. And then we had a resignation among our executive secretaries. And so I wanted to seek approval from the committee to reopen those positions for 1 month and then hopefully be able to conduct some interviews right before back in session and hopefully approve some hires at the first meeting back.
Are we discussing it or can I just make a motion?
If there's any discussion, I'll take discussion. If there's no discussion, I'll entertain a motion. I'm not hearing any discussion, so I'll entertain a motion to.
I move that we approve the postings of the receptionist and the executive secretary role for 1 month.
Second.
Madam Clerk,
Previous role.
hearing no objection, motion passes. Madam Clerk, if we could please go ahead and post the executive secretary and receptionist positions again and leave those open for 1 month.
So noted.
Item number 2, we've had a couple of discussions about this, the HR policies and procedures, and the current iteration of the employee manual was sent out to the committee to review. I think that our employee handbook is in need of some updates and some modernization. And so I wanted to ask for permission from this committee to task my operations director, Christine Ingracia, to work collaboratively with board staff to research some best practices of HR manuals from some other legislative branches and come up with a proposal for this committee to consider and discuss. And I know Alderman Aldridge had also approached me and asked to be involved in that process as well. And so I'd be happy if he wants to be the committee member who kind of takes point in working with Christine and working with the board staff on bringing something to this committee to review. Is there any discussion on that or any thoughts?
I'm supportive. If there's no discussion, I'm happy to make a motion.
Okay,
I'm sorry, one moment, Madam President. The receptionist position has already been posted. It was posted with the legislative researcher.
oh, good.
And the closing date for that is September 3rd.
Okay, that is good to know. We were not sure that that had been posted.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Cone, I will entertain that motion.
I move that we authorize Christine Ingracia from the president's staff to start reviewing personnel policies from other bodies and to develop or update our own personnel policies at the Board of Aldermen and name Alderman Aldridge as the point person from Personnel and Administration as the point person.
It's a long motion.
Right.
Long motion.
Yes. And to work collaboratively with staff in developing that. If we could add
So
that.
noted and added to the motion.
Second.
Previous role.
All right, hearing no objection to previous roll, motion passes. So the third thing today is about multi-graph. And so it took us a while to understand with multi-graph exactly how much money the Board of Aldermen has set aside there for printing. So what we came to understand is that multi-graph sets aside a budget each year for every city department as their printing budget. And so for the Board of Aldermen, multi-graph for this year has $22,000 set aside for printing budget for our office. So those are things that typically the printing that we go to multi-graph for are things like the Good Neighbor guides. They're not the, one-off things that we can print in the office, but they're the, the bigger items. If we are to divide that $22,000 equally, that would mean that each alderperson and the president would receive $1,466.66 for printing through multi-graph for this year. We have also allocated in our current board budget $114,000 for mail under internal services. So this would be $7,600 for each alderperson and the president to be spent on sending Good Neighbor guides or sending mail. After conversations with both the comptroller's office and multi-graph, both have stated that they will not create separate accounts for each alderperson to track use of the mail budget and use of the printing budget. And so we need to track, come up with a mechanism to track this spending by ward. And so Christine has been working on a process similar to how accountable reimbursements are currently handled. And so there's two kind of motions that I want to make. The first would be that we divide the printing money and the mail money equally across all of the wards and the president's office, so that each alderperson, at least for this fiscal year, and I think we can fight for more funding in subsequent fiscal years, but for this fiscal year, each alderperson would receive $1,466.66 for printing through multi-graph and would receive $7,600 for mail. So that's the first motion. Is there any discussion on dividing those budgets equally?
Madam President, I'm just curious, out of that budget, let's say we were doing just Good Neighbor Guides, how much would a like Good Neighbor Guide cost per piece? Do we know?
Christine, did you have that priced out?
I don't have a specific price list for anything from Multigraph, but I'm happy to ask and report that information back to the committee.
Part of the reason I'm asking is, obviously that's not a lot of money for printing. And in the past, we had alternated years of eligibility for printing Good Neighbor Guides. So like odd wards were on 1 year cycle and even wards were on another year cycle. So that way we could print more for each ward.
I mean, I'm open to that as well. I think in previous years it had been, let's see, the odd wards are the wards who are up next.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so the odd wards would go
Like
first.
next.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily applicable to this year because everybody's new. So like nobody has Good Neighbor Guides for their wards this year. But
Yeah.
maybe starting next year, we start with the odd wards next year and the even wards, the following year type of a thing.
Okay.
So
it might make sense to divide equally this year and then revisit in subsequent years. I mean, our hope is that we can, my goal is to eventually get it to a place where every alder person can send one piece of mail to each household on an annual basis so that alder people are able to send, Good Neighbor Guides or whatever, a newsletter on an annual basis, the same way that our state reps and our state senators are able to send their district directories on an annual basis. We had asked for that in the budget this year. We didn't get that. And so I think each year we're going to have to push a little bit more until we get to a place and maybe, in the meantime, we encourage alder people to maybe do their mailing so that, you're reserving your mail budget for seniors or for folks that maybe are less likely to have internet access or be able to access some of the information that's in those Good Neighbor Guides online.
Online is, I just thought about that. I wish there was a way, maybe we should talk about that, making an online version of the Good Neighbor Guide that we could share out moving forward too, because that would save as well.
I think that's
Multigraph does have like a PDF version that they can
okay.
provide.
It would be cool if we could talk with IT. I don't know if the city website could do it, like on the State House. When you go to your state rep page, there's a link that says like district directory. So they can go to Alderwoman Clark Hubbard page outside of the bio. And then there's another link that's like Good Neighbor Guide where it's her Good Neighbor Guide up there. Either they can print it. I know they can do like a PDF, but it'd be cool to also have on each Aldermatic person's page if IT can do it.
That's a good idea, yeah.
So Sean has actually been working with IT on updating so each alder person has their own page right now that has like a biography and certain links, but the links are fixed for each aldermanic page. But we also have ward pages, which I think is a little weird that we have both ward and aldermanic pages. A little confusing maybe. But on the ward pages, you're able to update the links specifically. Like, so if you have a traffic study or a town hall coming up or anything like that, you can update that on your respective ward page. But we can't do that on our actual aldermanic pages just yet.
okay.
That is confusing that it's two of
It's
them.
confusing.
That would just,
Okay. I might add, Christine, I might add that to your list to look into about seeing if we can consolidate those pages. And I think there's probably also some training that needs to happen for LAs and for older people on how to change their web pages.
Noted.
So I think all of those are good ideas. And if we can, I think if we can get good neighbor guides created for each alder person and then have, you know, an online version on everybody's website, and then, you know, mail, you know, encourage folks to mail to people in the ward who might not have internet access or the be as tech savvy to be able to access the resources online, that, you know, hopefully for this year at least can help bridge that gap. And then for subsequent years, we can continue to advocate for a little bit bigger budget for printing and mail to get to a point where we can, you know, hopefully send a piece of mail per year to each household.
Is a good neighbor guide the only like template thing that the board offers to send out to constituents?
Currently, yes. And I mean, I think we also probably need to revisit some of what's in the Good Neighbor Guide. What sometimes happens is they get sent out or they get printed and then they end up becoming obsolete pretty quickly because positions change or things like that. So, you know, trying to figure out what's in it so that it has a little bit more longevity than they've been having.
And I kind of looked at it, and I appreciate Tracy for showing me. I think it'd be cool if, I know they're all generic, if maybe there's a portion outside of where you can do an introduction of who you are, but maybe there's a portion where you can add like services that are just, you know, specifically to your ward. You know, each ward may have like, in my ward, I have like Gateway 180, you know, being able to highlight some community organizations in the ward, since
Yeah.
it's going out directly to people in that ward, where it's just not a generic of like city services, which is good, but highlighting some of the organizations that's doing city services work in our communities.
Okay. So maybe what we should do is for the next personnel committee meeting, maybe we should bring up a Good Neighbor Guide and just kind of go through it and do some brainstorming of how we maybe rearrange it or what content needs to go in it or allow for, you know, flexibility for older people. So if there's certain sections that are in everyone and then other sections that can be changed based upon the ward.
Madam President,
Yes.
when we do that, when we have that meeting, can we also maybe have a representative from Multigraph there?
Okay.
Since they're the ones that do the work and would probably be able to provide some guidance if we're getting completely out of bounds.
Yeah. If we're asking them for things that they can't do. Yes.
Yeah.
We can set that up and have someone from Multigraph come and kind of advise us on what can be changed within those Good Neighbor Guides.
Thank you.
So I guess then the do we want to still move ahead and you know, the motion that I had was to divide the mail budget and the printing budget equally across all aldermen in the president for this year.
I'd like to make a motion that we divide the printing and mailing money between the president and the alder people for this year.
Equally, everybody gets
Equal.
the same amount.
Everyone gets a piece of the pie. So equally between the president and aldermen's for printing and mailing.
Second.
Previous row. Shane, you're on mute, so I beat you.
All right, that motion passes. So the next issue alongside this that we need to to tackle is the ability to track this, since the comptroller and Multigraph have told us that they're not able to set up separate accounts for older people. And so what I would like to do is ask that Christine work with Ryan, our financial analyst, to come up with a budgetary tracking mechanism for how to track spending money for each older person, so that we have those records and we know how much money each person has in their account.
Is a motion needed for that?
Yeah, I need a motion for that as well.
I'd like to make a motion that Christine, Director of Operations, and Ryan, Financial Analyst, is appointed to create a system of tracking mechanism for older people and president when it comes to spending from Multigraph and printing.
Second. Previous role.
Hearing no objection, motion passes. And then last thing I have is Alderman Narayan from the 4th Ward asked if we would be willing to repost his legislative assistant position. He did some interviews and I think wasn't completely satisfied with candidates and wanted to reopen it. And so I would like to entertain a motion to reopen the legislative assistant position for the 4th Ward.
So moved.
Second.
Previous role.
All right, Madam Clerk, if you could please repost the LA position for the 4th Ward and also keep that open for 30 days.
You want to post it at the same time as the executive secretary?
Yes, that'd be
Okay.
good. Yeah, so whenever you can get those up and just for 30 days.
So noted.
Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes,
kind of on a related topic. So we have 12 out of the 14 LAs hired. Is
correct,
that correct? Okay. So the 4th Ward and the 12th Ward?
correct.
Okay. Does the alderwoman from the 12th Ward need her position reposted, or?
Our understanding is she's still conducting interviews.
Gotcha. Okay. Just checking.
All right. Any announcements?
Can I bring up another topic?
Yes.
I don't know if we'll have any decisions on it or not, but cell phones. I know we need to update the ordinance. Is anyone working on that, or?
Yes, we have had, I'm trying to remember. I think we had Christine working on that. And Gally, but yes, we know that the cell phone ordinance needs to be updated. And we will get that done this fall.
Great.
We also have another cleanup ordinance that is coming to that gets all of the committee names correct and
Yeah.
things like that. So we've been making a list of all of those housekeeping things that need to get done.
That was my next question. Great.
Yes. So they are in the works and will be introduced this fall.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
One last thing I forgot to bring up when we were on item number 1 is just when we do get applications from people, if we can, what do you think about sending confirmation letters to applicants just to let them know that their application has been received? So people just aren't hanging out there wondering what's happening.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I like it. I think it should be done.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that we haven't been doing that. So
Yeah, and I think in it, is that it's been received and this is the timeline. So, if somebody applies on the first day that the position is posted, they understand that it's open for 30 days and then we'll be,
right.
reaching out to folks just so they kind of understand. I see Ryan has a thought.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Madam President. Just sort of, having to deal with, HR sort of problems, sort of, in my previous position and being apprised of some things that we were learning from applicants. I just wanted to say that I think that's a really good idea. And also, I don't know if, because the board doesn't have to go by all of the civil service regulations, if it might be possible, actually, if a really strong candidate comes in to start the interview process in less than the 30 days. Because I think, when someone is looking for a new job, they generally have a couple goals, and you're going to take the first job that, meets those couple goals, that you're looking for. And if there's a way to speed up the process, if there's a strong candidate that I think that could be good. So I just want to introduce that too.
Tracy, does personnel have, because we still post our job openings through the personnel department.
Correct.
Do they have the ability to, instead of waiting the 30 days and sending us all the applications at the same time, do they have the ability to send them as people apply?
They could do that. They've done it in the past where they've just sent them as they came in.
Okay.
I believe that the clerk just, I'm not sure, I'm sorry, how that began, where they just sent them all at one time, but they used to send them
Okay.
as they received them. So is it something you want to go back to that?
I mean, what is the committee think? I think that could help us not end up in the same situation where we offer a position and then, it's happened to us a couple times where then they've
Yeah.
accepted other positions by the time we make an offer to them.
And that's what has happened. If someone has applied and you go back and ask them and they don't want it anymore, it's because they found another job in the meantime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I second. I mean, I agree. I think if we can get the applications as soon as they apply, and even start interviewing people. It's like any other job, when they're hiring, it's first come, first serve. 30 days is so long if people trying to keep food on their table to be like, I'm gonna wait 30 days just to see if I get a response back, and then they don't get the job, and then they have to, do the process of applying for another job, and that's 45 to 50 days. So I think, if we can get the application as soon as they apply and even start interviewing, and if we like somebody, potentially hire them. If not, the application process stay open where we can continue to try to get people to apply for the position. But 30 days is a long time to wait for a
Yeah.
job. Just to even hear back from a job, not even if you got the job.
Okay. Ryan?
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you. I just want to add that you would just want to make that clear on the posting too, though. Since if this is a new thing, you'd want to make clear on the posting so someone, isn't surprised if the position is filled before the end of the 30 days.
Right. I was just gonna suggest the same, being that you got it posted 30 days, maybe we should cut down the 30-day time span.
Yeah.
So I think having a position, we need a minimum posting requirement. So positions have to be posted for at least, a week or 2 weeks or somewhere in between. So that would be our minimum requirement, just to allow people the opportunity to apply. We can keep it posted longer, if necessary, if there's, not the, adequate candidate flow. So, if we want to, maybe revise the motions from earlier and say that positions get posted for 10 days and can be extended as necessary by approval of the clerk or director of operations, whomever.
And does that motion need to add that we can interview as those applicants come in? I don't know if we always just waited to after 30 days to interview people or get all the applications, but.
Yeah, I don't see any issues with interviewing before the position closes. You just wouldn't be able to make an offer before that minimum posting period.
I think we could say that we post up to 30 days, but begin interviews on a rolling basis.
Okay, Clerk Kennedy is gonna jump on to discuss some of the concerns that are going on. So he's gonna click on in just a moment.
Yeah,
And also, I like
I-
Shane's minimum of at least 2 weeks instead of
Yeah,
up to 30 days. I like the minimum thing. So if we do need to have it longer than 30 days or 2 weeks, we did,
yeah, I think like, minimum 2 weeks, but up to 30 days. And if it's not, if we don't have adequate candidates at the end of 30 days, then it would come before the committee for renewal.
yeah. I mean, we've been getting decent candidates. We just haven't been moving fast enough to
Right.
get them jobs with us anyway.
I mean, I'm fine with even a minimum of a week, just.
I
don't know.
think it needs to be at least 2.
Okay.
yeah, me too.
Is Clerk Kennedy on?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh,
I
yes.
can hear you.
I'm here. Mhm. So from what I heard, you're trying to speed up the process of being able to interview applicants.
Yes, because the folks that have turned us down when we've given them offers have each been because they've accepted other positions.
Right.
And
Mhm.
so what we're wanting to do is be able to start interviews on a rolling basis
Mhm.
as applications come in.
But not selection until after you have gotten all the applications in, correct?
What does the committee think?
Correct. Yeah. So
Right.
it would be a minimum posting of 2 weeks with approval to extend up to 30 days without committee requirement. You can interview during that minimum posting period, but you can't make an offer before the minimum posting period has expired.
And that's why I wanted to be clear because I didn't hear that in the conversation. It wouldn't be good policy to start trying to select people until after the closing date.
Right.
Right.
And so I did not hear that in the discussion. And so that's why I got on. I was listening from another computer that
Okay.
didn't allow me to speak. And so that was concerning because that's not a good policy.
Right.
Now, once the rules did say that you had to post for 30 days, I don't think that is in the rules anymore.
No.
You didn't have that in there. So you can do a shorter time period. In the past, there's been some instances, now personnel has had a lot of changeover in terms of leadership. The personnel department of the city. In some instances, they would send the applications as they came in, and others they would wait and send them all in at one time. And that really was more so how they operated than us.
Okay.
So we could make the request of having it come in as they do come in, but there is typically a wait time from them when they are finished of at least a week in whatever they do in their processing to get applicants in or to send them up to the board. So let's see what they're able to do more quickly. We'll just give them a contact and see what they're able to do.
Okay. So Alderman Cohn, do you want to make the motion for what you just laid out, those timelines?
Sure. So do I have to revise the previous motions, having voted on the prevailing side?
Yes, you need to revise the
Okay.
previous motion that kept it open for 30 days.
So I having voted on the prevailing side, I would move for reconsideration of the motion to post the executive secretary, the receptionist, and the Ward 4 liaison position.
Second.
Previous role.
All right, Alderman, you may proceed.
Thank you. So upon reconsideration, I would like to amend my original motions or the original motions for those 3 positions and now move that we post the receptionist, the secretary, and the Ward 4 legislative assistant position for a period of a minimum of 2 weeks up to 30 days, with interviews allowed during the application minimum required posting period, but no offer to be made until the minimum posting period has expired.
Second.
Previous role.
Hearing no objection to previous roll, motion passes. I think we also needed a motion on sending confirmation letters to applicants as we get them to, just to inform them of the timeline. So they're not left wondering.
So move.
Okay.
Second, previous role.
I'm sorry,
Madam
what, I'm sorry,
Madam
what's the motion?
Yeah, what is the motion?
The motion is that we will send confirmation letters to applicants as we receive their application, so that they are aware that we received their application, and they also know the timeline that we're looking at to conduct interviews and hire.
Hmm. Oh,
Because most places will send
Yeah.
an
So there's-
email once you send in your application and say, thank you for your application. It's under review.
The position was posted on X date. It has a 2-week posting period with up to 30 days. Interviews will be conducted accordingly.
may I speak? on
Yes,
this?
go right ahead.
I would think that in some positions, the timeline may be different on others. And so it might be something that you want to make sure that you discuss in the committee so that staff will have some direction on what to put in that letter, unless we just want to put some standard language. Now, when a person makes an application through the personnel department on the website, they do receive a confirmation that the application has been placed in and received. But the motion here is to have a letter from the board outlining the time period.
Correct.
So unless we just establish a time period, that would require, in my thinking, the committee to make a determination on each one of them. What is the time period? Because they could be different.
So I think we're starting with the 3 positions that we've opted to open today,
Mhm.
the executive, the receptionist, and the ward legislative aide. I don't think we go back for the positions that are currently open. But I think for positions going forward, when we make a motion to
Mhm.
open that position and for a certain amount of time, that
Right. Mhm.
we should also be approving a confirmation letter.
A confirmation that the application has been received.
Correct, and notifying them of the
Right.
timeline. So like in these cases, we've opted to, the position will be open for up to 30 days or for 30 days, minimum of 14, and just so that they kind of know what to expect in terms of hearing from us for interviews and things like that.
What we have done in the past is, like on the LAs and a few others, we've sent them an email saying that, thanking them for the application, letting them know the process, that the committee, the personnel committee of the board will look at the application. If it goes past that, it would have to go to the entire board, and the board would have to make a determination.
Mhm.
And then after that, there'll be a hire, or we'll let them know something. So we didn't put actual dates, and that's what I'm hearing. We just outlined the process. Are you asking to put dates in there or just outlining the process?
I think dates, At minimum, so that they know this, this is the date that the application is going to close and that interviews will begin on a rolling basis. And then I think it's okay after that to put the process of, once interviews have been conducted and candidates have been chosen, then, it has to go to the full board for approval.
But yeah, my question, I should have clarified it. My question is about dates, when they might be selected, and that's going to be hard to do. That they would know, we could put in there as we have that it's closing in these many days or by this date. And then after that, we just outline the process because you don't really know how long the committee will take or at what point the board will take it up. So you're not talking about dates on those 2 points.
Correct.
Okay.
Just when it's closing, so that
Right.
they kind of have an idea that they should hear from us shortly after closing, if not before.
Here. Okay,
I just
I
put
got-
some suggested text in the
okay. You said you did?
Yeah, in the meeting webinar chat.
Yeah, thank you for your interest in working for the City of St. Louis Board of Aldermen in the position of blank. This position was posted on insert date and will be posted for a minimum of 2 weeks and up to 30 days. If you're selected for an interview, you will be contacted during this time.
I mean, we can make it more flowery, but I think that covers the basics.
Yes.
More flower. Yeah, I can make some other suggestions to it, but it's
Okay.
not. That just gives some general idea of what you're talking about.
Thank you. We
Mhm.
appreciate it. The more that we can kind of keep people, I think, abreast of what we're doing, hopefully that'll lead to us.
Mhm.
I want us to get fully staffed and we're getting close, but
Right.
gotta-
My only concern there would be that we don't want to mislead people either. That's not the intent of the letter, but to give them some idea. And the legislative process is not always on exact dates.
correct.
That's all. So then, if you say within 30 days, we'll have a decision and it goes 45, then it could look kind of shaky to people. That's all.
Yeah.
That's why I have perhaps some other suggestive ways to word it.
Okay. Well, with that, I think, I don't think we actually took a vote on
It didn't.
the motion. Was it?
I requested previous roll.
Yeah, we voted on it. and then
Okay.
there was-
Okay, so we did approve. So Shami made the motion. Just making sure we have that recorded.
I'm sorry, to send the letters out?
Yeah, the confirmation letter.
I have Shameen made the motion. I don't have a second.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Previous roll.
Hearing no objection, motion passes. All right, that concludes the items for discussion that we had today. Are there any announcements from members of the committee? Seeing none, all aldermen are present today. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Or we can stay here all day. That's okay.
So moved.
Oh, Joy.
Second. Previous
Okay,
roll.
those in signify
Nay.
by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
No.
We are adjourned.